Hello, welcome. My name is Fabiana Cerato. I am an architect, an entrepreneur, and a self-researcher. And I am also a mom of two beautiful ladies and three pets. I am here today, Sunday, January 14, 2024, to represent Isaac, an international service for the internationalization of conscientiology. Isaac is a non-profit organization. It has the status of a pre-conscientiocentric institution, a pre-CI. And we are also today coordinating the project that is called the Bridged Researcher. This project has been created by Isaac to bring together researchers from all over the world in order to facilitate knowledge exchange and sharing interassistential experiences. And this is exactly what is going to happen right now. The instructor, Alexandre Zaslavsky.
Hello,
Alexandre.
Fabiana.
So, great to have you here. As I was saying, the instructor Alexandre Zaslavsky is going to be here today with us, joining and presenting the scientific qualification of personal experiences. So it's really great to have you here, Alexandre. I'm going to read the curriculum vitae of Alexandre Zaslavsky. He is a philosophy teacher in high school. He's a volunteer at the Interscientific Council in Unicin and is the editor of the journal Interparadigmas. He is the co-author of the book Existential Inversion and author of many articles and encyclopedia entries that we also call it verbetes. So I'll give the floor to Alexandre. It's really a great pleasure to have you here. Alexandre, you have the word. And I myself, I think this live promises a lot. I have many questions already. So please feel free to talk.
So, hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. And I'd like to thank Isaac for having me, for inviting me. And I will be talking today about a theme, a topic which I am researching. It's been many years. Our theme today is scientific qualification of personal experiences. So I will present the parts of this title in a few moments. What does it mean? Okay. So this is the bridge researchers, as Fabiano just said. This is the project, and Isaac. Well, so a little bit of context about this research. So I have studied philosophy, so I'm not really a scientist. But in conscientiology, I have noticed, me and others, we have noticed and the need to think and study more about the foundations of this new science as conscientiology. So conscientiology is the project of a new science which can study multidimensionality, the reality that goes beyond the intraphysical dimension, and study us consciousnesses beyond the boundaries of intraphysical dimensions. So this new science, it has almost 30 years, and but we need to keep developing it, and the scientific foundations, they are a very important part. So in the scientific council, the interscientific council, which is department of Unicim, which is an institution where all other institutions are. So we can observe what virtually everyone is doing in conscientiology in a scientific sense. So what are the institutions researching, and every scientific publications. So with this view, so there's the place where the theme of today's conference, today's speech, began. The scientific qualification of personal experiences. This is I think at least it's a main topic to discuss, to think about, if we are interested in the scientific foundation of conscientiology. Okay, so this is the context of the presentation. Right, so the initial questions that will lead the presentation. What is an experience? What kind of experience we are talking about? This is such a broad word, term. So what is an experience? How to qualify them, the experiences? What does it mean to qualify an experience? In which sense? And mainly, how to scientifically qualify them, and why should we do that? So the very title of the presentation is intriguing somehow, because it has many aspects, many approaches to make. Well, the principle of disbelief is a very central, it's in the center of conscientiology. It's a basic principle, and it will serve as the beginning of this presentation. So what does it say? Do not believe in anything, not even in what is informed here. Experiment, have your own experiences. So this leading principle, or this main principle of conscientiology, already brings the theme of experience. So it is making a comparison. It's like putting in two different sides, belief and experience. So why is it so? What do we mean by that? Do not believe in anything. Experiment. Well, what is a belief? What we consider a belief? So it is the act or effect of considering some affirmation as true or valid without proof. So it's not necessarily a religious belief. Belief is a general term which means this: when we take as true or valid some affirmation without proof, it is called a belief. So we at least we are calling it like that here. But there are many subjects of belief, many subjects, but many of them are of moral or religious nature. So the beliefs, although there are so many, I think many kinds of belief, but mostly they are in the field of moral or religion, this kind of behavioral field, with values, involving values. Okay, so let's go to the next one. For example, moral. What is a moral belief? For example, what is the correct behavior everyone should have? Like, it's a kind of a general formulation of a moral belief. everyone should behave like this or like that. For and religion, of course, it has a lot to do with that. Um, for example, one should be good to others, should offer help. This is a sort of moral belief. Or on the other hand, we should be competitive, we should be the best we can be in order to overcome obstacles. This is other kind of moral belief. Well, and religious belief, what is the nature of afterlife and how it affects our way of living. So religion in general, I'm not here making a difference between uh, kinds of religion or types of religion, but generally speaking, religion generally sets what's the nature of the afterlife and how it affects our way of living, because every living being, it's going to every life will end. So it's something that matters everyone. What is the afterlife like? So religion sets this kind of belief, and it's very powerful, as we all know it. Fabiana?
Yes, it's exactly. I was going to ask that and to would like to understand more. I'm sure you would be elaborating more because really understanding that if I am behaving based on a belief or if I am behaving based on a scientific experience, if I understand that, I think that will help me a lot to move through my life because I'm guessing nobody wants to just be believing. We want to have the experience, right?
Well, I'm not sure if everyone thinks like that, but that's a difference, important difference to understand. What's the difference between behaving uh, based on a belief or based on experience? Because the belief, well, I will move to the next slide. It
Good.
will help.
Okay.
So a belief represents a supposedly solved problem, supposedly solved problem. So there is no need for further investigation or any energy spending. So I believe we can say is basically like an economic device, because it saves you energy. Okay, if one person have a belief, um, say about the afterlife, it's settled. It's settled. So okay, that person lives their life accordingly. Okay, so the religion believes if you're good, you'll be saved and you will go to heaven. Okay, so that person will try to be good in that way, expecting to go to heaven as religion says so. Okay, so it's not that belief is not being tested. It's not under test because it's settled. It's a solved problem. Okay, so experience for that person, it will not the role of experience will be only to reinforce that belief. Experience will not work as a test. It's not offering new information at all, because that belief fixes the focus, and nothing else enters there. Okay.
So, how can someone test about that? How can I test? Because you said that a belief is something that will
So,
accommodate my brain, and how I can test that?
what you mean? But how can you test if you have a belief, or how can you test the belief?
How can I test that belief you mentioned? You said that if we are good,
Well,
we
that
go
belief,
to.
that specific belief about the afterlife, for instance.
Yes, that.
Yeah, but look, this belief is one of the main focus of conscientiology in order to test that. Conscientiology exists in a way to test this kind of belief because for conscientiology, if one person develops their ability to sense energies, to perceive energies, there's no need to believe in an afterlife because the afterlife is already happening right now, everywhere. It's called multidimensionality. So when one deactivates their physical body, the consciousness continues manifesting in extra physical dimensions. But every all those dimensions, they are exchanging information all the time. So one person who believes in the afterlife, like in a religious way, we can say, like in a logically, that person does not value parapsychism or perceiving energies and nothing like that, because they are opposite things. Okay, so
Okay.
in summary, one can test that kind of belief by developing the perceptions of the bioenergies.
Okay. Thank you.
So the belief it has this closing effect. It's like a frame. It frames experience. So the belief, whether it is moral or religious, it puts sort of a frame, and it only enters in that frame what reinforces it, because there's no intention to test these beliefs because they are dogmatic. Okay. So this comparison between belief versus experience. So a belief is the opposite of experience. Why? Because while the belief is a fixed frame, is a fixed shape, the experience is the opening for new information. The experience is like a direct channel connecting the person, the consciousness, to the reality in general. So the experience is an open channel, it's an open stream of information. And the belief, it's not, it's exactly the opposite. So the belief is the act of closing that stream, or putting a sort of filter, very like a strong filter in this stream of experience. So that's why they are opposite, a belief and an experience. So experience is a connection with reality as a continuous source of information. Okay, but what is that? So everything which well, the next slide will talk about experience. So experience may or may not confirm beliefs. Okay, so when one person values experience, automatically that person will be open to confirm or not confirm beliefs. Okay, so the experience automatically will put in test the beliefs. Okay, so the effect of experience. Experience does not result in new belief because it represents proof. A belief, as we said before, doesn't need proof. That's why it's called a belief. So the experience, on the other hand, it represents proof. Having experience about something is already kind of proof. Not necessarily a proof for everyone, but at least for a person personally, it is already some proof. Experience results in a different sort of conviction, which we can call at least common sense knowledge. It's a different sort of conviction. The conviction of a belief is a totally, well, independent. It's a totally, how can we say, arbitrary conviction. It depends only on the person. The person believes it is so. So the person has a conviction about that. But it's not connected to anything else, only with the person, the decision of the person to believe in that. But the experience, since it represents a kind of proof, it raises a different sort of conviction, because there are external elements, there are facts which support that kind of affirmation. It's not a belief anymore. It's beginning to be knowledge, at least common sense knowledge, but it could be, as we will study a little bit further, it could be scientific knowledge. That's what conscientiology is looking for.
Was another question. There are more people arriving and saying thank you to you. That's great. Thank you all for joining. And you talked, Alexandre, about multidimensionality and parapsychism when you introduced your words. How can someone experience that in order not to believe that on that?
Well, that's also a very important theme in conscientiology, because conscientiology provides a set of techniques which make it a little more easy, not so difficult to experience that. So, for instance, the holosoma, the set, the amount, the four vehicles of manifestation which an intraphysical consciousness like us here we have. So the next vehicle after the physical body is called energosoma, which means the energetic body. So this energosoma is very, very important in that way, because its main role, its main function is to connect the physical body with the psychosoma or emotional body, which is extra physical. So if we learn to perceive and use deliberately the energosoma, that will happen. You will start to realize the bioenergies, the consciential energies, which we are interchanging all the time, and their importance in our daily lives. So the summary,
So learning how to use, as you mentioned, the psychosoma and the energies, that will be a confirmation. Now, the holosoma, that will be the practical experience and the confirmation of that.
Right. Well, not necessarily. The confirmation will depend on each one's experience, but at least it is required. It's sort of a prerequisite to go that way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So experience results in a different sort of conviction, which we can call at least common sense knowledge. So experience have this a lot more weight. It weights more comparing to belief. Experience can provide much stronger knowledge comparing to belief. Well, what is experience? What are we calling experience here? Experience is the continuous and inevitable stream of conscious events Okay, so it's a very general definition of experience, and it includes intraphysical as extraphysical as well, both. So it includes everything, because so we are calling experience this stream of conscious events. So when, if the person is not asleep, if the person is awake, then experience is happening. It could be just like very ordinary experience of daily life and routine, but also could mean para-perception of extraphysical consciousnesses, interassistance, exchanging of energies, all that. If it's a conscious event, all that is part of experience. So experience is this stream of conscious events which is happening non-stop all the time. It only stops when someone is asleep, the person is not having conscious events. But if that person is having, for example, an OBE, out of body experience, a projection of the consciousness, then there is experience going on as well. It is the intrinsic connection between consciousness, microcosmos, and reality, macrocosmos. Okay, so it's the intrinsic connection. There's no thing. I think it's impossible to even conceive consciousness without experience. Consciousness has experiences. Consciousness is having experience, and experience is happening to some consciousness. So it's like an attribute of consciousness in a way. It is the aspect of reality which consciousness is aware of in each given moment. Of course, the experience is what every consciousness is aware of. So it's not everything, it's a part, it's a fragment of reality. For instance, one intraphysical consciousness, which is not interested in multidimensionality, their experience is focused only in what is physical around her and herself. Her body, physical body, what she's feeling, like emotions, and what is around her, the space, and so on. So this is a part of experience. That experience is a part of the bigger reality, but is the stream of conscious events of that person. But if one is interested in multidimensionality, so the experience is larger. It's encompasses more aspects of reality. So consciousness and experience, the width and depth of experience varies accordingly to each consciousness. Like I was just saying, it depends on each consciousness, the width and depth of experience. It could be very narrow, like the person is only focused on some very little things, like so in daily life it's narrow. But if someone is the focus is opened to multidimensionality, it could be very broad too. So the specter of experience, the range of experience, any human life is a set of experiences. Any human life, every time a set of experiences is going on, and from beginning to end is a set of experiences. A strictly intraphysical life is a set of experiences. For example, family, profession, social activities, so on. But a multidimensional life is a set of experiences too. The evolutionary dynamic connecting intra and extraphysical consciousness. So at this point, it becomes a little bit more complicated, a bit more complex, because the multidimensionality of life, multiple dimensions which coexist, and they are connected. They are connected through the interchange of energies. They have an sort of evolutionary dynamic. So things are exchanging energies, consciousnesses, places, everything is exchanging these energies in a evolutionary logic or dynamic. Things are evolving, they are changing. So the experience, multidimensionally speaking, experience is always challenging. It's always challenging in a way, because we evolve, we change for the better through challenges, responding to challenges. So if we consider the multidimensional approach of experience, or experience as a multidimensional approach, things get much more complicated, because there's this evolutionary dynamic which is happening all the time. So intraphysical experience is a fragment of experience, is part of the big experience, okay? But it is already experience. And the multidimensionality of experience. Experience is in itself multidimensional. It is an energetic interchange between consciousness, tosins and holosoma, and the multidimensions, consciousness and holotosins. What is this tosin? It's thought, sentiment, and energy. These three elements, they are together, they are always together in the manifestation of consciousness. So every one of us we manifestate through thoughts, sentiments, and energies. We are exteriorizing these three elements together in a whole. They are not separable. They're inseparable. So experience is an energetic interchange between consciousness and the multiple dimensions, but we are not necessarily aware of that. Okay, so literally we could say it's the potential experience. It can be that, okay, but like I said, it depends on every or consciousness. So this energetic interchange has an evolutionary logic or dynamic. Okay, so the energies, for example, if one person is feeling the way we feel on the places we are, it challenges us to respond. Okay, so if I don't feel very good in an environment, well, I could stop going there. It's an option. Or I could go there deliberately, trying to help the environment. Either could happen. Okay, so the energetic interchange means what we experience all the time. The experience, what we think, what we feel, what we are, the energy we have to do things. That's the energetic interchange. So the way we respond to that is in that evolutionary logic or dynamic. So as more lucid we are to that energetic interchanges, the more open we are also to the evolutionary logic of things which are happening. For example, in one's family, there's this energetic interchange, at work, or where we volunteer, if we do the places. So the many contexts which form our life, every one of them has that energetic interchange, which is challenging us to evolve. Okay, So the multidimensional experience has everything to do with that, to value this element of evolution, of the challenges we have everywhere, focusing on the challenge. Okay, so we come now to the second topic of the presentation here, the qualification of experience. What does it mean? So the qualification of experience means to consider the consciential evolutionary dynamic. Okay, so that's what I mean here with the qualification of experience. Is not only like enjoying some experience, not that doesn't necessarily mean qualification. So I mean here, when one is considering the consciential evolutionary dynamic, what challenges the experience is bringing to us in multidimensional terms, the exchange of energies.
So, Alexandre, if I understood correctly, you are bringing to us three different steps. First is being open enough to jump from believing and changing those beliefs into experiencing. Then the second pillar, so to say, would be being open and experiencing. And now you are bringing a third pillar, which is the qualification of that experience. So it's not just experiencing by experiencing. You are bringing the possibility of qualifying that experience from the evolutionary point of view. Am I correct?
Yeah, very well, very good summary. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, I haven't thought like that, but
Good.
yeah, agree. So the first step is belief. The second step is experience instead of belief. And the third step is qualification of experience, trying to extract the evolutionary content of that. Okay, to how can one use the experience towards evolution? That's right.
Just before you continue, to one last point, I like it very much when you talked before, you mentioned that all the experiences are by itself multidimensional. Perhaps we can say that we don't want, or we'd rather stay with the focus in the intraphysical. But this doesn't mean that, for example, when I feel unhappy, anger, or happy, this doesn't mean that the multidimensional is not in that as well, right?
Yes,
Okay, good.
that's that. I think this is a very important point, and it seems it's never enough to talk about it. We have to talk more and more about this because, for instance, for example, if we consider the holosoma, the vehicles of manifestation of consciousness, if one person is feeling, for example, sad, if one person is feeling sad, okay, but how is that feeling like? You know, we can make many questions about it. For example, what are the ideas behind that feeling? Okay, why is that person is sad about what? So that this is one thing. Another thing, how does it feel, that emotion in the body? Or so what is normally considered an emotion, in fact, is a consciential state. And it has this holosomatic feature or configuration. We could, for example, feel not only the emotion, but the energies. How are my energies when I feel sad or when I feel happy? What's the
So,
difference, energetically speaking? What's the difference between one emotion and the other? So multidimensionality is not this abstract idea. It's an experience first of all, of energies. So if one considers the variable energy, for everything, it's the reality is becoming multidimensional for that person, because energy is multidimensional, and this develops on and on. So one probably one next experience could be the perception, for example, of an extraphysical consciousness attached to some energy. For example, one could see that consciousness while sleeping or during life, but in a moment, for example, in a flash inside the mind, as an image, and so on. So so every experience is multidimensional, but we need to develop in order to have that experiences actually. So we have this potential experiences, but it depends on the range of each consciousness.
So it's like saying that we have doors that we just need to open related with that, and perhaps focus, amplify our focus related with that.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
First, we need to realize we have that doors. The second, we need to learn how to open them, and then how to keep them open. It's a process.
Good.
So the next one, qualification of experience. And that requires parapsychism, that is awareness regarding consciential energies. What we were just saying. Parapsychism is a general name regarding the faculties and abilities consciousness have to perceive beyond the physical senses, the five or more senses we have in our physical body. But parapsychism means beyond psychism, beyond what we can perceive through our physical senses. So it is a pillar of conscientiology, parapsychism. We need parapsychism in order to learn and to research conscientiology, develop parapsychism, and developing this awareness regarding consciential energies is exactly parapsychism. So how to do that? And here are some techniques to increase awareness. The first one, probably one of the main techniques in conscientiology, if not the most basic one, is called vibrational state. So what is that? Is the movement of the consciential energies in each one's energetic body, the energosoma. So there are many techniques to do that, but the usual, for at least for who's beginning the vibrational state, is moving the energies from the top of the head to the feet and back, from head to feet and back, faster and faster, until it becomes a pulsating energy, a sort of vibrational, almost like the feeling of a machine vibrating. So the vibrational state is this vibration in the energetic body, or the energosoma. So this technique is basic, is some sort of key to everything of parapsychism, because it helps oneself to feel better, to de-assimilate strange or external energies, and it has many functions. It's useful for many things, the vibrational state. The so-called energetic coupling means to join one's energy with other person, and that's called energetic coupling. So this is a technique which is, well, we do it all the time, but we don't realize it. But since we are exchanging energies all the time, so if we realize we're doing that, it can become a technique. So we become more aware of consciential energies of others. Okay, so when we enter a different place or environment, it's possible to monitor, to observe the consciential energies of others, which we begin to feel. A third technique is the self-thosenic checkup. So this technique helps to increase awareness about our own intraconsciential reactions, what's happening inside ourselves as consciousness. So thoughts, emotions, and energies. What is my thoughting now? What am I thinking? What are my thoughts? What are my emotions and my energies? How are them? Okay, so this is possible too. It's possible even to the person gets a habit of doing that many times a day, until it becomes sort of automatic even, to every change on thousands, this change is registered, or something is changing right now. What is it? Okay, so this is called also a double attention, the attention focusing on two points. And the fourth technique, it's called holosomatic checkup. It's kind of similar to the last one, but it's not about thousands, and it's about the holosoma, the vehicles of manifestation of consciousness, the physical body, energetic body, emotional body, and mental soma with the body of discernment. It's a mental body, if you want. So it's possible also to do this checkup, and it increases awareness about the vehicles of manifestation. It is connected to the self-thosenic checkup, but it's not the same exactly. It's not the same. So all those techniques, they help to increase awareness, and with that, it helps to qualify experience. And we arrive to the main theme in this presentation, which is scientific qualification. We're moving one step forward now. It was as Fabiana said, it's now the fourth step. So the scientific qualification. Well, science is characterized by its methods, that is, forms of organization, rigor, and systematicity. This is the main feature of science, method. That is where scientific knowledge comes from. Scientific qualification means the application of method. So, of course, we're not talking here about the materialistic science. It's not about physics or chemistry or even not human sciences. Well, conscientiology is different. It's a new kind of science. It has some resemblances to other sciences, but it's a new kind of science. So we are still beginning to apply method in the scientific research about conscientiology. So, but here also in conscientiology, scientific qualification means the application of method. But how is that? Scientific knowledge comes from collective experience produced and or treated with method. So scientific knowledge, we consider all kind of scientific knowledge in academia or institutions, social institutions, and so on. Conscientiological knowledge comes from personal experience produced and or treated with method. So these sentences here, they are similar intentionally because we can compare collective experience with personal experience. So conscientiological knowledge comes from personal experience. It can become collective experience eventually, and we hope it will become collective experience, but it begins in personal experience, but it has to be treated with method to become conscientiological knowledge. Otherwise, it could be just the application of conscientiology if there's no method in it, only the application of some technique. So the method is a further step. Well, so science and personal experience, and that's the novelty here in conscientiology, to treat personal experience in a scientific way. The awareness for energy interchanges during daily life already is qualified experiences. So that's what was the third point, the qualification of experience. But making a record file of these experiences adds the scientific qualification. So if we have qualified experience, we are aware for the energy interchanges during daily life. But if we make a record file of that, if we register these experiences, we're adding the scientific qualification. For example, writing diaries. It's scientific qualification because that experience becomes data, for a research. So about research variables. What is that? A research variable is a theme or subject which emerges from accumulated data and becomes a focus of interest. In conscientiology, a research variable often has a self-evolutionary interest. So research variable could be a word or a small phrase which concentrates the interest of the researcher. So the researcher accumulates data, for example, in notebooks or tables, but analyzing this material, the research variables, they kind of emerge. They get a highlight in them. They become highlighted in a way. They attract attention because they are a pattern. They repeat within that material. So the research variable, it emerges from the accumulated data. In conscientiology, these research variables, they are very much related to self-evolutionary interests because all the researchers in conscientiology, we are interested in the evolution, the self-evolution theme. We want to understand how to evolve more and better. So all that knowledge concerning multidimensionality, they are, in a way, they have a bigger picture, which is self-evolution. So the research variables in conscientiology, they tend to be related to self-evolution. So the research variables in conscientiology. It is possible to analyze an amount of experiences through the lens of a variable. It is also possible to seek intentionally an experience which could bring new information concerning a variable. I like to think about what is closer to us, and this is the energetic body. The energosoma is very helpful in order to make tangible the multidimensionality and what is beyond the intraphysical, because the energosoma is the next thing beyond the intraphysical dimension. Okay, so if we consider the energosoma, it is made of chakras, the energetic vortices, the energetic points, concentrations of energy. So the energosoma it has some main chakras. So a chakra could be a variable, I think it should be a variable in conscientiology research. So we can either analyze experiences focusing in one chakra, and or we could seek new experiences also concerning this chakra. Fabiana?
Yes, I just want to highlight the four main pillars that we talked before for people who are arriving late, for them to understand why you brought us on that path of variables. It is very interesting. I am liking a lot because you show us that it is possible to jump out from a belief way of living, transforming the belief into experience, which is adding the pragmatical part. And then we can also jump into the third possibility, which is qualifying that experience. And now you are showing really the scientific way, which is the fourth pillar, which is how to apply methods. For example, as you talked right now about the vortex, the chakras now. I could give one example. For example, if I use one of the techniques you brought before, one of the four techniques, let's say I am applying vibrational state right now, and if I feel a specific sound in the left side of my ear, whenever I repeat that once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, and if I keep perceiving that same sound, and if I register and apply the methodology, I will be applying a scientific method into self-investigation. Is that okay? Am I thinking
Yeah.
all right?
It's a
Okay.
good example because it leads to another topic. Probably we wouldn't talk about this, but it's called the parapsychic signaling. How do you call that? Is it signaling?
Parapsychic signs or signals.
Parapsychic signals, right?
Okay.
So when we start to develop the movement, develop parapsychically, and we begin used to energies in our daily life, this sort of experience, just like Fabiana mentioned right now, for example, this sound on the left ear, this sort of buzz, it could be an energetic signal, but what does it mean? It could mean many things, but the way to find that out, the way to know that, is to make a research. You need to get an amount of experiences in order to come to a conclusion. So whenever I feel this thing, it means that. For example, it's very usual people try to map signals. For example, a signal which means the approximation of a helper, extra-physical consciousness, a helper which is technically prepared to help you, and then you feel some sort of thing. And on the other hand, on the opposite, when there is this sick, for example, sick astrophysical consciousness, sometimes called an intruder, gets more close. What do I feel? And whenever I feel that, I know it's an intruder getting inside my psychosphere. So this is also energetic signals. And it's a very good example of conscientiological research, because it's very easy to understand that I can only know what it means if I do a research, if I accumulate data. Otherwise, how would I know exactly what it is?
Or as you mentioned before, you mentioned when a person is sad, we can amplify that perception, perhaps reading energies and perceiving more. We could also add that variable as well, as you mentioned, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Emotion together.
I work a lot with the addition of the energetic variable. I think it's very useful in daily life. If everything I try to add the energetic variable, so I feel I'm feeling something. Could be sadness or anything like, or I'm feeling lazy today, for example. So what is the energetic variable in that? How does it feel like to feel lazy? Because it's so understated. How do I say that? It's under uh, undervalued. I don't know. People just, oh, I'm feeling so lazy today. But what are you really feeling? Is it a lack of energy? Or is it like this excess of energy, perhaps, but in a way which you are intoxicated with that? So is this, what does it feel like really? But I think we can only answer that properly adding the energetic variable, because it gives you some other sort of information about reality. Energy is not exactly subjective. For example, an emotion is subjective. So I'm feeling this. I'm feeling cheerful. But this is an emotion. This is subjective. But if I ask, but what are the energies of this emotion attached to this emotion of cheerfulness? What energies? How is the energies like? Well, I can see my energies. They are kind of expanded. My psychosphere is expanded. I'm feeling my energies are going. They are larger than usual. But that's not really subjective. I perceive it, but it's not internal. It's not inside of me. I'm perceiving reality outside of me, but it's multidimensional. So the energetic variable, it's so important, and I think it's very kind of didactic. It helps to understand the qualification of experiences, but also it represents the, well, not only, but it helps to begin scientific qualification of experience, considering energies as variables.
Thank you. We have Alexandre more or less 10 minutes to starting with the conclusions. Thank you so far, please.
Yeah, we are. We are next. We are near.
Good.
So, um, the research variables in conscientiology. Okay. So now we get to the conscientiological self-experiment. This is a proper concept. So a conscientiological self-experiment is a multidimensional experience deliberately held aiming the acquisition of self-evolutionary knowledge. So experiment is different than experience. It is a kind of experience, but it's not really a synonym. So experience is the stream of conscious events, but experiment, a self-experiment, is seeking deliberately some multidimensional experience, but in order to acquire knowledge. So it's a very special kind of experience. It's to make an experiment with oneself as consciousness. So the person puts herself in various experiments in daily life. One could even treat daily life as a big experiment or a succession of experiments. So in this level of considering the experience as experiment, the scientific qualification is very much settled. So there's no more considering, like, how can I say, not everything, as we said before, every experience is multidimensional. Okay, this, because of energies, everything is multidimensional. But this in self-experimentation, this becomes very practical, because not only things, every experience is multidimensional, but the person is making experiments with that. So if I feel this and that, I try to exteriorize energies to that, or I observe, or I try to think differently and observe what will happen. So consciousness begins to interact with or within experiences. So the experience is going on, is happening, but the consciousness can interact with that and turn it into an experiment. So the chakras, those energetic vortexes, as we were saying, they help a lot to do that. So if I feel discomfort in one chakra, say my cardio chakra, so what will I do about it? So I can, for example, exteriorize energy with that chakra and see what happens. Or I could install a vibrational state and see what happens. Or I could try to locate what kind of toxin is provoking that sensation in my cardio chakra and try to change that toxin and see what happens. This is self-experimentation. So it's using energies to experiment in daily life. It's possible. It's not so difficult. It's possible. We begin with little things in some special moments, and then we get used to that. And when we know it, we're doing it all the time. Because we don't accept anymore just feel this or that. Oh, I'm feeling this today. Well, why? Why is that? Can I change it? Where it came from, this feeling? Why am I feeling this? Is it so? The daily life becomes some sort of laboratory, and with the adding of qualification of experience and scientific qualification of experience. Okay, I don't know if it makes sense. I'm waiting for if there are questions or doubts. Please ask. So some examples of self-experiments. Energetic, self-toxinic and holosomatic reactions while installing the vibrational state in different environments. So this is very good experiments to make. Try to install the vibrational state in different environments and check how's the self-toxins and holosoma, the reactions. For example, some places, they are easier to install the vibrational state. It feels easy. It feels like it takes little effort to install the vibrational state. So this is a self-toxinic endosomatic reaction. This is. So try to study that. What it happens, how and why. Why is it easy to install the vibrational state there? And the opposite, some places where we try to install the vibrational state, it seems to not happen. Doesn't happen. It's very difficult to install the vibrational state there. But why? What does it take to install a vibrational state there? What kind of strength it will take to install a vibrational state there? It's an interesting experiment to make. So is it possible to install, for example, differently the vibrational state in that environment? Is it some chakra which is blocked, which is not allowing the installation of vibrational state? So they are all experiments. Another one, projectiological. Volitation abilities while projected in the extra-physical dimension. So this is very important part of conscientiology. It's called projectiology, and it studies the projection of consciousness, the experiences outside the human body. So volitation means when someone is having a projection of consciousness, can like float. So can volitate is the verb for that. So the capacity of floating while projected in the extra-physical dimension, and control this floating. Is not like a loose floating. No, it's a controlled sort of floating. It's an interesting experiment. If you have this kind of experience, try to control that. Can you volitate at will? And if you volitate, can you do you control the direction, the speed of this volitation, and so on? Fabiana?
Yes, I just remember the first time I had my lucid out of the body projection. I just had started studying conscientiology, studying myself, and I wanted so much to experience that out of the body projection. And then I remember I attended to some classes, and in one of the classes, the instructor said, if you are lucid when you are out of your body, try to be not so happy, because if you are over happy or too happy, you will tend to go back to your body and lose your lucidity. So I remember thinking that. I remember I was outside of the body, and then I was like, well, I am not in the physical body. But wait, I started to be very happy. And then I remember the teacher saying, control yourself. Then I thought, well, I am outside, but okay, let's control and focus and direct the volitation. So when you talked about
You
that,
just
I
did.
just remembered. So interesting.
It's unforgettable.
It
That
is, isn't it?
experience. Yeah. The word we use is we need to avoid euphoria, to be euphoric, to be overwhelmed, yeah, it's doesn't help at all. It's not good for. Yeah, it's challenging. Sometimes we get that, but it's that's an experience also. It could be a self experiment. Try to control that reaction also while projected. But the experiment, it's one level more, considering the qualification of experiences, because experiment mean that we are provoking the experience. We are making something to test. We are doing something. The person is proactive in the experience in order to make an experiment. Okay. Well, another two examples. It's almost ending the slides. So paradiplomatic, self-toxemic and holosomatic reactions while discussing at work about some important problem. So I'm calling this paradiplomatic because some sort of diplomacy, dealing with conflicts and trying to make things easier to solve in a team, for instance. And could be a self-experiment, while at work, in a discussion at work, check the self-toxemic and holosomatic reactions. So how am I reacting to this discussion energetically? Am I becoming, for example, anger? Am I becoming angry? Why is that? Why am I feeling that? How is it happening? So this awareness of self-docence and holosoma makes it possible to do a self-experiment. So I can install a vibrational state. I can try to make a docene which is different. So see for another angle that, or try more to listen. So refrain a little bit, try more to listen more and speak less and see what happens. This is the experiment. And the last one is despertological. This is a more advanced one. What does it mean that desperto means person which doesn't suffer any intrusions of other consciousnesses. It's called desperto. It means that person is aware of the intrusion, so the person doesn't suffer. It responds to that intrusions well. So one could make an experiment about the speed and accuracy to identify intrusions and respond to them with efficacy. This is also something which becomes more and more important for a conscientiological researcher because it's very practical in the daily life. One has to deal with that, to intrusions, and learn to respond to them with efficacy. So, Fabiana.
Yeah, just a little correction. The word is deperto without an S. This is the last decision from the CNL. No? So they decided to call it deperto. So it's a depertological
Not without
word.
S. Without
Without
S.
an S, yes.
Right. Okay. So deperto, it means that person which doesn't suffer intrusions anymore. Okay, but this is very experimental too, because it's very practical in the daily life, and it's possible to, for example, if I'm feeling some intrusion, what does it happen when I install the vibrational state? For example, can I install it, and what happens? Or if I try to deal it with dozens, I try, for example, to make this mental dialogue with the intruder. What does it happen? Does it uh, does it solve the problem? What happens? So it's all experimentation, self-experimentation, depertological. And the final considerations. Since we all necessarily have experiences, why not qualify them? Okay, so experiences, they are happening all the time, all the time. Why not qualify them, seeking for use them more in a evolutionary sense? And why not give one step ahead and apply a scientific method on experiences in order to gain knowledge? The application of parapsychic techniques during daily life and the record of these experiences in diaries are a basic way to begin. So, for example, I think what is people know more and use more is the projective diary. So it's a technique which was proposed in the book Projections of Consciousness. The book was published in 1981, a long time ago. And the projective diary is a notebook which stands just beside the bed. And the person, when a person awakes, tries to recall, to remember the experience, if lucid or not, whatever experiences the person has had, and immediately take a note of them in the projective diary. So this projective diary is a very useful tool to scientific qualification of experiences. Also, we can have many diaries as you want. So projective or just self-research diary in order to take notes of many things which matter for the person. There is one could make like energetic signals diary, where we'll record only the hypothesis of energetic signals and the daily experiences concerning that. So the record, the writing registration of experiences are a basic way to do scientific qualification of them, to scientific qualify them. So I think it was basically it, what I wanted to speak today. Here are some references in English. The projection of consciousness. It is basically this book is a scientific tool, basically, because it is a projective diary, and one could just do the same with their own experiences. The projectology is a big treatise about the projection of consciousness, and it has many chapters about scientific research and techniques. And also the Scientific Conscientiology Experiments, which was published in English in 2016, and it has a section about scientific research in conscientiology, from page 81 to 86. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Alexandre. I wrote a few ideas I want to highlight, and I have a question for you as well. So you
Okay.
started telling us the difference between believing and experiencing. You talked about the range of experience. You also show us that the intraphysical life, or the life from the intraphysical point of view, is a fragment of reality, which I like it very much, that perspective you brought. You also brought us the possibility of selecting the focus and amplifying the physical reality into a multidimensional reality, so then we can start perceiving and having more and expand more from the scientific methodology, self-research point of view. I wrote a phrase you said, which I like it, is, can I change what I am feeling? Oh, this is also something interesting to be going to my self research, which is a great question. You also present this scientific methodology, the variables, and the techniques from jumping from the belief system and belief common way of living our life into a more scientific way and a methodological way to experiencing life and being happier, which is what everybody wants the most. And my question is, what is the most important decision that people will need to take if they want to jump from believing and transforming that belief into more pragmatical way into experiences? What would you say?
Well, so just one little observation, one little thing is that I don't think it's a jump. I think it's a progression. But leaving that aside, I think the main decision is to acquire and get more knowledge. I think normally, before this change happens, one's like leaving some belief system and seeking more knowledge, one gets saturated, get kind of unsatisfied with only believing, because beliefs, they are full of problems, and the believer can't really take that problem seriously. Otherwise, they would leave the beliefs. So, but if one's committed to knowledge and not to beliefs, the knowledge has problems, and it's okay to have problems. There's nothing, we don't have all knowledge. Knowledge is progressive. knowledge is evolving. So it's in the bottom line, I think it's a change, it's a shift from sort of a absolute view of the world, in a way, static view of the world, and a evolutionary view of the world. Belief is connected to this absolute view of the world. This is it, and you deal with it. So, and the knowledge is connected to this relative and evolutionary view of the world, which everything is transforming in a way. It's getting better, it's getting more complex. Not always better, but it's getting more, it's developing, getting more complex. So one has to live beliefs for knowledge. But knowledge is not absolute, never is. So it's a it's a big step. But I think everyone will eventually take that step.
It's great. Thank you very much for being here with us today in the name of Isaac and in the name of the Bridged Researchers Project. We welcome your lecture. It was very interesting. I highlight all the points and I will be supporting and suggesting for my team to invite you more often. You do have a very nice experience on that matter. Thank you very much once again, Alexandre. And would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Fabian and Isaac, for the opportunity to come here and speak for another audience in English. So it's a different audience, and I'm available for another times. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all. See you in the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.